Hello and welcome to the Full Force Weekly, proudly brought to you by Battle Action Force, the Treasury Editions. I am your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. In this episode, I bring you all the news from the past week in the world of G.I. Joe. So what is it, me? It's the Full Force Weekly. How's everyone doing on this Friday? It's not Saturday morning, you'll probably notice. And I'm on my own, no Pat. Pat is actually busy this Saturday, so I had to do it today as in a solo maneuver. And I will also add that the internet seems to be glitching a little bit at the moment, so apologies if you're having any issues with the visual or any of the audio, what have you. Nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. It's just that I guess peak time on a Friday night, innit? Anyway, hope everyone is having a good week. It's been a weird one, innit? It's not been a fun week in the world of G.I. Joe and related stuff. We have had some cool, interesting things happen, but at the same time, we're going to be talking some miserable stuff as well tonight for obvious reasons. Well, I suppose we better get into it then. Lots of news to cover. We're going to start miserably, though. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the rather disappointing and kind of hot topic and hot button issue of the week, and that is Super 7 layoffs. I know. We got to do it, though. Yes, so quite sadly, early in the week, Super 7 had to let go of a number of employees due to, well, as it was said by a number of employees that posted after the fact, based on the struggles with the tariff situation. Now, a lot of people responded to that. I would say it was a very I basically had to switch off for the couple of days that it was going off, because really just wanted to say at that point I felt really bad for all of the employees that got laid off at Super 7, because a lot of very big names, a lot of like talented people. I mean, who isn't when these things happen? But it just didn't leave a good taste in my mouth, the response to everything, almost like the kind of gloating little bits sometimes of like, the kind of ha ha kind of, I don't know, there was just a lot of like really nasty response to this. And I kind of understand to a degree that people would be, peed off with Super 7, of course. Like it's a horrible situation. I certainly don't think, I know for a fact they didn't want to do that. But yeah, there's like a situation at the moment where it's not looking good for a lot of companies. Whether you think things are better or whatever at the moment than they were, they're not. They're still in a pretty grim situation, even with 30%. And 30% is actually massive when it comes to what these companies are having to deal with, what these mid-range and smaller and anything below Super 7 in terms of size, everyone's really getting their butts kicked. Trust me, it's happening. That said, I never want to see people lose their jobs. It's awful. And it should be the last, ever so, like literally the last possible, kind of resort, basically. I don't, it's kind of, I feel it a little bit differently when it comes to companies like Hasbro, who are much, much bigger. And when they do it, it does always feel like it's like a very callous sort of like horrible thing that's done to improve, how the numbers look, which it's slightly different in this case. But then, at the same time, it's horrible, it's awful, and I wish everyone who has been affected by these layoffs all the luck in the world. And I think a lot of people who have lost their jobs at Super 7 will probably end up doing amazing things elsewhere, and that's the hope, isn't it, really? And I hope they do. I really do hope they do find something else after this. And it obviously, it did not kick off the week very nicely. Like to hear about this. again, I know a few people that were affected, and it sucks. Really does suck. So, like I said, more importantly than any other thing you want to get into with it, I just want to say I really feel bad for the actual employees that were affected. So that is all I wanted to say on that one. I'm going to move on, because I don't really think there's much else to get stuck into on that one. It is what it is. It sucks, and I mean, I have a feeling we're probably going to be seeing more of this kind of stuff over the next few months, not just from Super 7, but just in general. I think it'll be one of those things that will have to sort of happen, if other way, or we won't see companies. We might even see companies completely just disappear or go bank, or just cease to exist, as it were. Anyway, yay. Let's move on to a little bit of Hasbro updates. I wouldn't say like it's still tariff talk, unfortunately, and we'll start with that and I'll get it out of the way. But we have a bit of information coming out of Hasbro from a recent conference, so let's talk about that. Yes, so according to a Business Insider, I don't think I put the link in the description, my apologies, but it is on, I think, via Toy News International. It's on our socials. Hasbro's Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer, Gina Gota, spoke at a JP Morgan's Technology, Media and Communications Conference. Whew, there's a lot of words there. Where she talked about how last week the company was getting ready to raise prices on products due to the 145% tariffs that had been placed on China by the Trump administration. However, on Monday, when it was announced that the 145% tariffs had been reduced to 30%, at least temporarily, Hasbro put those plans on hold. Gota said a 30% world is very different from a 145% one on how we're treating decisions like pricing, how we're treating allowances, how we're working with our retailers on promotions. She didn't go into specifics on what products they were going to be raising prices on, but there were indications, and this is reported on Toy News International, that Hasbro was going to be raising US MSRP prices on action figures to the following amounts. So where it's Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series, and G.I. Joe Classified, the base 6-inch level was going to be up to $29.99, which is a big jump, isn't it? Considering deluxes were at $34, they were at $24.99 before that. That is, it's a hefty jump. Star Wars Vintage Collection would go up to $21.99. Black Series FX lightsabers apparently $325. I don't know how much they were originally, actually. And Marvel and Star Wars roleplay helmets up to $130. And then Transformers prices were interesting. Deluxe would go up to $30, Voyager $40, and Titan $260. They had also suggested, or Gota had suggested, that they had planned on stopping production altogether on certain products, or at least only releasing them to international markets, because it just didn't math, basically, to do anything in the US. It had been previously reported that Hasbro expected 145 tariffs could cause Hasbro to lose $180 million from the company's yearly net profits. Yikes. At 30%, the loss is expected to decrease to just 50 and 70. Easy, 50 and 70 million, easy. She did say, though, that even with that pause in the tariffs, some product prices may still increase where it makes sense. And they don't know what to do. They basically don't know what's going to happen in the future, is effectively what's happening here. So it's anyone's guess, honestly. Yeah. How does the 90-day pause affect POs that ship 6 months from now? We don't know, do we? We won't know. And something else could happen. It could change in many different ways. But yeah, it's, oh God, anyway. fun start to the episode today, unfortunately, guys. My apologies. So yeah, effectively, Hasbro were toying with just stopping production completely, just focusing on international markets for now and cutting out the US for a little bit in terms of toy production, at least. looks like we're back on track for, I don't know, for just a price increase is what I expect. We've got Yojo June in less than a month's time, right? Like 3 weeks, whatever, 2 weeks, 2 and a bit weeks. Yojo June, when that comes in and we start seeing more like pre-orders and prices and all that kind of stuff, we will see exactly what the situation is. I don't think, based on what they were talking, what TNI were talking about regarding G.I. Joe classified figures being about $29.99. I don't think it'll be that high, but it might be. I would expect it to be more likely, maybe 26 or 27, maybe. But we'll have to see, won't we? Come JoJo June. And the other thing is, it's going to be stuff going forward. But we knew there was going to be a price increase. Let's face it. We all sort of knew that was coming. Anyway, I've been surprised they held the $24.99 price on standard retail classified figures for so long. But I think their way around that was in introducing more price points, higher price points as well, for other things like figure vehicles and deluxe kind of price points. And well, I know we had figure pet already, but you know what I mean. They introduced a few different other levels, like the was it the $74.99 price point for the MMS situation, yeah, and so on and so forth. So Hasbro is having a hard time running their company before the tariff talk started up. I agree with that, Zed, actually. There was a lot. I mean, we were talking about financial, all sorts of issues, weren't we? This has definitely accelerated any price increase, though. I don't think we would have had any price increases on classified this year, but now we are 100% is happening. Yeah. So long as they don't hammer the EU UK prices, those are already bad enough, says Bias One. What I always found interesting, Bias, about that was how it was never what's the word? So, for example, I'm just going to give you the example and you'll work out what I'm trying to say here. It would be like $24.99 for a classified figure and £24.99 for a classified figure. And it's like, that is not the same value. Like there is a different value there. Like it's more expensive to be buying that UK figure than it is to be buying that US one, because of the exchange rate. So yeah, I always found that quite funny, how they would just keep the same numbers. It would be like the numbers are the same, the value ain't the same though. But yeah, I kind of I've always found that quite interesting, an interesting play. 30 euro per figure is kind of already, says Bias. Yeah, it's expensive, isn't it? It really is. Yeah. Anyway, fun times, isn't it? US prices are listed before tax. We have tax included? Question mark, says Diecast Nick. Oh, that might make a bit more sense then. Yeah, maybe they're just doing that as I never even thought of it that way. That makes so much sense. I could have just asked you guys ages ago about that. That does make a lot of sense. Yeah, I think you're right on that. I think it might be sort of like the equivalent of putting tax on it in a sense. Yeah, could be right actually. That's not a bad shout. Anyway, that's the first two things out of the way. I don't want to linger on this either because it's just depressing. I want to have fun. I want to talk about fun new reveals, like Outback. Yeah, not immediately now. We've got other things to talk about first. And there's so many other little kind of stories that have popped up that I didn't really have time to kind of like put anywhere or set up or do anything for. But I want to shout out. The fact. Bear with me 2 seconds. Meow. Yeah, I want to shout the fact that Dan Jolly looks to have been hired to work on the Snake Eyes game, alongside, of course, Brandon Jerwer, who's been there since day minus whatever it was, since day one, basically, since they set up Atomic Arcade. And of course, we had the Snake Eyes Atomic Arcade reveal teaser, let's say teaser, which we'll talk about in a second as well. They're excited about that. Also, while we're talking about that and these kind of things, we will In fact, I could have just talked about Dan during that segment. I completely forgot that I'm actually talking about that in a second. How are you guys feeling about me going back to a little news burst extras during the week? Or do you, because obviously, like, I know like you guys like the live stuff a lot of the time. But yeah, let me know in the chat if you're liking the little shorter form videos, or if you just prefer me to just be on 24 hours a day. And I'm trying to mix it up a little bit, basically. And I'm trying to offer other shorter form news little videos. I'll probably do things like that in the future, and then also do a long live stream as well, so people can, we can get more chat about it and everything. But I kind of feel like sometimes if I'm doing long news bursts in the week about, a pair of braces or underpants, then when it gets to the weekly, we're talking about it again, even though we've talked about it for hours and hours and hours. But anyway, I'll try and mix it up a little bit, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. Next up, then, I've actually completely forgotten. I think it's mask related next. We'll just have to see, won't we? Yeah, I think we're talking Thunderhawk render. Yeah, we are. So yes, the masked Thunderhawk render from the loyal subjects was posted the other day, earlier in the week, really, technically, and it shows obviously the Thunderhawk, the upcoming Thunderhawk from loyal subjects with Matt Tracker, and it shows the conversion. I keep wanting to say transformation, but yeah, they say convert, don't they? So like, or the copy would tell you it's convert. So what is going to happen with the Rattler pre-order? I don't think anything, Christoph. I think they're just going to have to take that hit. Is what I think is going to happen with that. Who is Mr. Jolly? We'll talk about that later, RKW. I will talk about Dan later. The more full force, the merrier, says Rachel. Okay, good. Long says short film videos were great. Oh, good. Thank you. Diana says news burst extras are cool too. More Chris equals better. I miss the live stuff, but catch them later. Thank you, Diana. I'll try and mix it up. I'll try and keep it, I'll try and get some live stuff during the week for sure. Chris says I prefer the live, but even the short clips are welcome. News bursts are nice, says Dicos. Okay, good. People digging it. That's cool. I'm cool with that. Full force, all day, all the time, complete force, fully. Thank you, Jedi. Ben. Jeremy says, do what's more convenient for you, Chris. If I did what was more convenient for me, Jeremy, we wouldn't have a show. it would just be like one video every 17 months, and that would be it. RKW says, can we just have a 24/7 number to ring for up-to-date news? That would be so funny. White says, I heard a hint that Fans Hobby will possibly be at Joe Fest. Cool. Anyway, we do need a full force network, Steve, don't we? A 24-hour news network. I'm up for that. Long says tariffs require you to make videos shorter. So, I like that. Although if you can't, you either cry or you laugh at it, don't you? Basically, so we'll laugh at it. We need the Full Force News Network in James Earl Jones' voice. This is FFN. Yeah, we do need that, don't we? FFN. Anyway, Mask Thunderhawk render. Here we go. Yeah, they popped this little video. We obviously talked Condor last week, I believe. And now we've got Thunderhawk. So I expect we'll see possibly Switchblade, maybe Rhino, one of the two, next week. What else are they doing? Thunderhawk, Condor, Rhino, Switchblade. Is there another one that I've just gone absolutely blank about? No, I think that it's just those four, isn't it, to start with? So yeah, we'll probably see either Switchblade or Rhino next week, which I'm excited to kind of see some details on those. Will I be attending Joe Fest, Stanley? No, unfortunately not. I don't think I'm going to be able to make that one, unfortunately. I did want to. I was trying to aim for it this year, but I don't think it's going to be possible. The black truck that goes into a tank, Zed, is Jackhammer, but no, that isn't being. They aren't doing that one in this first wave. I don't think so. Anyway, Jackhammer is awesome. The one that's like, the kind of the hood comes over the windshield with a little slot in it. The back section comes up and the little seat folds out, and you've got like a little machine gun seat. It's so good. Oh my god, Anyway, I love Mask, so I'm very happy to see more of these little renders showing, all the way around. You can check out the video on all their socials and on our socials because I think we shared them too. But yeah, definitely check this out if you haven't already, just to see how good this looks as the original. I've seen the models in that, I've had them in hand and everything because I went to Toy Fair this year and it was amazing. Got to speak to John Warden about them as well. And they are great. They really do look good. They feel good. Like there's that everything. Like there's definitely like what's the word? There's definitely upgrades and changes and differences. It's not exact as it was back in the day, but you wouldn't know unless they were next to each other. Like you wouldn't know unless you had them compared next to each other. Like they've really tried to get that almost exact to the vintage vibe as much as they can, and all of the mechanisms still operate, or at least on the models they operate exactly as you remember them, except maybe a bit more sturdier and longer lasting. But yeah, very, very cool. And you can see the conversion here, and of course the rear of the vehicle as well. And yeah, you get Matt Tracker with this one too, which is dope. And you also get Matt Tracker with the Rhino. But hopefully we'll see one of those two next week for renders. Or maybe on this, I don't know, probably Monday. They usually drop them, don't they? I think on the week. But we will see. Are you guys excited for Mask? Let me know in the comments what you want to see them do. What vehicle do you want them to do specifically? Do you want them to do something brand new? Do you want them to do something that is like in this kind of vein, sort of like a reissue? Do you want to see Gloria Baker get Shark proper, get that done properly? Do you want to see something from the cartoon that was never made? Let me know. Personally, I'm going to throw this one out here. I would love a crowd-funded Boulder Hill, because I spoke to John about this and he was very open about this, kind of like talked a lot about this kind of stuff. And he was saying how cool it would be to do something like a crowd-funded Boulder Hill, where it was a slightly bigger price point, obviously. But then things like, updates to said Boulder Hill Dio like playset, where you would have, obviously the garage would allow vehicles in, as in like it wouldn't be too short for the Rhino to squeeze in there. And things like, maybe having the Mask Energizer in the back. How dope would that be? Like a little light up Mask Energizer. Be so good. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys want to see from Mask, and I will ignore it completely. I'm only joking, of course. I want to hear what you guys want to have to say in. Sorry, I was just fixing some audio issue there. I want to hear what you guys are saying in here. Zed says, I'll probably get some of this. I'm not proud. Hilarious. I want classified tracker more than anything, Jeremy says. We might get that, the way things are going in Skybound. Just stay true to the line. Then when you complete the run, maybe start innovating some new models or sprinkle some new ones in as they go, says Jedi Ben. That sounds like a very, rational way to look at it. I like it. Chris G says, Boulder Hill usable in dual scales would rock. Scales wise, like how big are we talking, Chris G? Mask hasn't pulled me in yet, but Outlaw might be too tempting, says Red Wolf 1977. Outlaw would be phenomenal. And yeah, I'd have to say that would be pretty amazing. Rachel says, I would be interested in Mask in modern era 4-inch scale or classified scale. Yep, same. Definitely. I mean, we've had so few figures in that sense. I mean, like we've had Matt Tracker twice in 4-inch form. I'm really hoping for a classified at some point kind of Mask homage. I'm still freaked out by when Mask cartoon turned into wacky races, says Diecastnet. Yes, it did get a little race car that was so odd, wasn't it? The racing series, it was so weird. The cartoon is odd because these guys have been at each other's like throats for years as like a terrorist organization and like a team, trying to stop them. And then all of a sudden they're racing against each other with no context at all. It was weird. Nictimus Prime says, can't stay, but I wanted to tell you that I picked up a retro Viper today at a local comic shop. Really happy with him. Awesome. Nice. Lone says, where's the other guy? You mean Pat? Yeah, he would be. Yeah, he's not here today, unfortunately. He can't do Saturday tomorrow because of work things. So I decided to go early and do it on Friday just so that I could, kind of operate on a normal schedule for a change. Zed says 6-inch with vehicles that have all the gimmicks would be expensive. It really would. Anyway, like I said, I think Boulder Hill would be amazing. And then all of the features you could throw in there would be so cool. Like the upgrade, basically, of features you could throw in there would be so cool. But that is that. And if we're talking like just a standard release, I think we've mentioned it before, but Jack Hammer would be dope. Outlaw would be insane. I'd love the Outlaw. I'd love Outlaw Red Wolf. But then something like, I'm a big fan of Floyd Malloy. I'd take Vampire as well. Like I know it's a weird motorcycle, but I love that. And obviously Slyrax and Piranha, the Gator as well. I think Gator would be dope. Just like the little Jeep that opens up with the boat, the power boat that kind of shoots out. It'd be so cool. Anyway, that's Mask. This isn't a Mask show, although it kind of is because it's in the same universe now and always kind of has been for a long time. Let's move on then to talk about something else. I think we're getting into, let's talk Atomic Arcade. I know everyone's excited. Well, I'm excited to talk Atomic Arcade. Atomic Arcade? I can't even speak. Let's do it. Yes, Atomic Arcade have dropped a short video with images teasing their in-game character render of Snake Eyes. Now, I did a little Newsburst extra on this in the week, and my ruddy goodness, this is making me very excited indeed. Of course, it was one of those things we've talked about in the past. I've spoken to this with Pat and with Justin regarding Snake Eyes and the computer game. And we have mentioned in the past that we're probably going to see a redesign on this character. Of course we are. I mean, it would be weird not to. And then obviously it's obvious. And even though it's obvious, it's still really surprising and exciting to see this happen and them share a little bit of it. So we get these like little teasers basically. And it's quite a bit as well. Obviously, we don't see his head. We don't see the face. We don't see much below the kind of like upper torso. But it's still cool nonetheless. And we can kind of gauge quite a few things, I think, just from these two images. So the first thing I'll say is that obviously he's kind of geared up in this particular shot. And we can see what looks to be maybe a possible sort of like side cape or a little bit of side material over one of the shoulders. We see kind of armor, straps. We see kind of like rope, lots of textures. We see those kind of very elaborate design on the wrist gauntlets, tactical gloves, and obviously a machine gun as well. We see all of that in this image. Lots of like cool little kind of elements. Like there's a cool little like detail design on what looks to be kind of like, on the deluxe Snake Eyes, he's sort of got that kind of leather upper sort of kind of chest piece. This sort of thing's acting like that, but almost like probably a backpack for the almost like a web gear that is then connected to what he's holding on his back, sort of like tactical web gear basically. So this is, I don't know, this is something that's making me very excited to see that they are trying a few different things with this one. Elements that we've seen before, elements that you kind of expect to see on Snake Eyes, but then other stuff kind of like being thrown in, a few of their own little twists on it. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. I was kind of hoping for something new and fresh with Snake Eyes, because it's Snake Eyes. We've had a million different versions. It's going to be really difficult to get a variation of Snake Eyes that isn't something we've seen before. So this is really cool for me. I love this particular image is really awesome. And that kind of decorative kind of dragon design on the gauntlet, very reminiscent, I think, of that version 4 with the kind of gauntlets and the kind of the kind of like lettering that he had on those gauntlets. I'm liking the fact that we've got this sort of like very detailed, elaborate design going on. And again, there's a lot of textures. There's a lot of it looks phenomenal. It looks real. It looks phenomenal. It looks great. So I'm excited. And then, of course, we have this shot, which just opens up a bunch of other, another can of worms. The other thing I didn't mention in the news burst video is what can be seen sort of in the background, because technically Snake Eyes, even though he's back to us, he's in the foreground, but in the background there, sort of like blurry, it looks like the kind of maybe some of the bad guys he's going to be engaging with. And obviously we know it's a mature video game. We know it's going to be catering to a more mature audience, and that's why that sword is covered in blood, which is pretty dark. But then also the thing like the wrist gauntlets having those kind of red rope kind of straps as well. Very nice little touch there. You can see the machine gun now kind of like on his back. Again, that sort of like kind of tactical web gear thing that is now on his back, kind of like utilized as a backpack or a holster for the rifle. And then the sword's out. I imagine that slots in somewhere on there too, on the back gear. But what this makes me excited for more than anything is another action figure to come off the back of this. So I don't know, just very excited about this. And yeah, he's got the sword kind of like in reverse there, holding it kind of in that kind of I forget what I forget the term, but yeah, he's got it kind of like upside down technically. And he's about to engage with some pretty crazy bad guys by the looks of things. And then we also see an ever so slight hint at some sort of redesigned head, helmet, visor, goggles, whatever it may be. Someone did jokingly say it looked like Snake. It was like something like a Batman Arkham Asylum sort of joke. But yeah, it does have a little bit of Batman going on. It does look like he's got ears on his head there, doesn't it? But I genuinely have to say I'm excited to see this full reveal. I do expect to see more of this in Yojo June. It kind of feels like they're kind of prepping for like something fun and a big reveal for that month. So yeah, is it Snake Arm in the background? Red Wolf, love it. I love the callback to me seeing Snake Armors in the backgrounds of things. Will he be mute? No idea, RKW. I assume so. SFNG also says it looks like a snake armor back there. Brilliant. I wonder when the first trailer will drop. Don't know, Childish, but I don't think it will be super soon. I think they're just kind of, giving us a little teaser at the moment. We'll probably see maybe like a full design come the trailer, which who knows when that will be. I don't expect it soon. I'm kind of thinking this is more like a 2026 sort of thing. So, maybe the end of 2025 or possibly even the summer, June could be. That would be great, wouldn't it? If we got a trailer for it. I mean, they've been working on this for a good amount of time, but these games can take ages. Is it a Snake Eyes game or a G.I. Joe game, says Zed? Very specifically, it is a Snake Eyes game, I think, Zed. They have said that as much. If you go on the Atomic Arcade website, they have a bunch of different articles, interviews with different members of the team, and they kind of give away a decent, they talk about a lot of detail about the actual project, not about like specific things that obviously we don't know, but in terms of the game itself and the main character and all that kind of stuff, yeah, you see that you definitely see that that they're going to be doing something that is very Snake Eyes, or that's what I'm getting at, sorry, very Snake Eyes focused. I've been called a lot of things. I'm not sure mature is one of them, says Jedi Ben. Hilarious. I would have preferred a green shirt game, says Chris G. That I don't know. I mean, any game that you're following a green shirt, maybe kind of getting into the Joes, like kind of trying to get into the Joes. Maybe you create your own code name and a little bit of a file bio, and then you kind of like you have to go on the missions and become a Joe. That'd actually be kind of cool. That'd be really awesome. And maybe like you start as a green shirt, you level up to like steel core, and then you get into like the actual Joes. That'd be dope. Yeah. Anyway, very excited for more information, for more images, for more leaks, teasers, whatever you want to call it. I'm really excited for more of this from Atomic Arcade. I wouldn't even say concerned, just excited to see what they were going to come up with. And looking at this, I don't know, I'm here for this. This is like super detailed, very dark, very interesting. I don't know. I think this is going to be cool. Anyway, that's Atomic Arcade. And the other thing, and this is where I should have mentioned it, but yes, comics writer Dan Jolly looks to have been hired to work on the Snake Eyes game alongside his good friend Brandon Joa, who's been on this particular project since day one. So yeah, what have they produced so far? In what sense? What are we talking, RKW? Like how much of the game? We don't know. Like we have no idea. We just know how long it's been in development for. Or unless it was a different. I think you guys are having different conversation in the chat. So my apologies. Carry on. Yeah. Rachel says if you eat Dr. Mindbender's mushrooms, you get bigger and faster. Could you imagine? If it's open world, the map being Cobra Island would be fun, wouldn't it? Oh my god. Oh, other games. Atomic Arcade was created specifically for Snake Eyes. So there are people on it who have worked, the people within that company now who have worked on like Batman Arkham Asylum, a bunch of other games that I forget now, but I remember listing them off when we first got that information in an article a while back. But Atomic Arcade was created solely for the purpose of making specifically G.I. Joe computer games, and obviously other stuff when they get around to it. But it was started for the Snake Eyes game solely. Zed says the problem is so many games these days look great and play like crap. Yeah, I think there's a lot they have to get right here for it to be a pinnacle game. I think obviously when it comes to like fans of this particular brand and it's really cool and it looks good and whatever and it plays well, I think that's all they need to do. Easier said than done, but I think if that's done, at least we have a really good game that we can be really proud of and really excited to play more than like once. Like I think that is something that I would be very excited to get as a Joe fan. Whether it has that extra sort of commercial reach and becomes something a lot bigger because it is quite good and brings people into the brand, then fantastic. Don't know if it's going to do that because I think you're sort of a little bit sometimes restricted by the brand, either in a good way or a bad way. Like you can be restricted in a way like G.I. Joe brand where you sort of aren't getting everybody that you might want. And then Star Wars opens it up to like a broader audience. A brand like, the Marvel brand, for example, opens up to a huge audience. They love, those sort of kind of games as well with the Marvel games. But with Joe, there's a little bit of a brand restriction there. And I don't think it's just as simple as making something good. I think personally, from my kind of selfish perspective, if we just get a really cool, good, engaging, like crazy exciting, amazing game for G.I. Joe fans, I think that's all that I would need personally. And I think that's most of what the fandom would be into. But again, it's got to kind of do some numbers, I think. But yeah. Jedi's Ben says, if this is Arkham style gameplay, that'll be great. It would cross-play style very easily. Well, like I said, the people that have worked on Batman Arkham Asylum and those the Arkham series have been working on this game. Atomic Arcade mentioned that probably like a year or so ago now, maybe even longer than that. But yeah, anyway, really excited. Anything like I was thinking about this the other day. What do you guys want to see in the game? Like I personally would love to see him fighting, because I have a feeling they might try and do some new things with it. Like, maybe focus on Snake Eyes, maybe focus on like the ninja aspect a bit more. Although it does show that you've got the machine gun and the sword, so it's not necessarily just going to be all ninja based. but I could see them kind of going, real ham on like, you know, red ninjas, night creepers, that kind of thing. But I do think it needs to be sort of heavily character influenced. I do feel like there needs to be characters in there, you know. um I don't know how, if it's going to be something that's going to be like Snake Eyes and then just a lot of no names, a lot of NPC sort of things. I don't necessarily know what we're going to be seeing here. I think it's going to be its own continuity, Chris G. I don't think it's going to be anything that exists already. This is going to be new. Timber, yes. RKW, yes. Rachel says, I want to see zombie vipers, bio vipers, and monstro vipers. That'd be crazy good. SVF&G says silent mission like early Metal Gear. Get inside a box and kind of shuffle through an entire crowd being addressed by, that would be incredible actually. SVF&G. I do think it would be so much fun, wouldn't it, to play Snake Eye, to play sort of GI Joe related games that put you into like a Marvel storyline or a Sunbow episode or something. Like, it'd be so much fun. I'd love a Sunbow game personally. I know we sort of kind of got that with Wrath of Cobra, which I've been playing again, by the way. I've finally got a little bit of time here, there, and everywhere. I've been kind of like playing on the Switch, and it's so much fun. But like, yeah, I think something where you're, it's kind of like not cell shaded, but you know what I mean, sort of like it is in the design style of a Sunbow game would be so much fun. But then also have, excuse me, your dark sort of, hardcore mature game like this one. It'd be so much fun to have all of these options for sure. But yeah, Diana says, I'd love something else to be Sunbowverse beyond the Saturday Morning Adventures comic. Yeah, same, Diana. I'd love to see a little bit of extra Sunbow stuff. It'd be great to have like Sunbow comic, kind of Sunbow related comic like we had with the IDW Saturday Morning Adventures, which I really loved, and it was gone as soon as it arrived. But yeah, something like that. And I don't think Skybound are going to take a lot more on. I think they're going to do their focus, and far be it from me to tell them what to do, because they've done a phenomenal job so far on the comics. So yeah, whatever they end up doing, I'm sure will be great. But I would love some sort of Sunbow stuff, maybe even like a new X-Men 97 sort of animated series following on from the end of the movie and going from there. I think that would be so awesome personally. So bloody awesome. But that said, that's Snake Eyes. Hopefully we'll have more next month to talk about with this. Or this might be this might be the last thing we see until like a trailer, and that could be way into the future, but we shall see. And of course, we'll keep you up to date by at least the day, not the hour, but by the day. Okay, we're going to go into unofficial corner for a second, and it's Fans Hobby. Yes, so Fans Hobby have dropped more images. I didn't change the background image. I didn't change this image. Just realized that. I spent ages doing it on Photoshop and then didn't switch it out. So this image we're looking at here is not the same images we're going to be looking at next. No. So without figures, but Fans Hobby have dropped a few more images of the VE03, the faux striker as it is, and they've also added what looks to be a very, very familiar looking weapon system on the top there. Now that is obviously going to be I think it's a missile launcher, and yes, it has very strong sort of like visual nods excuse me, to the original Ore Striker. Do you know what's really funny about this one? You know how with the Air Eagle that they started off very, very close to the vintage, and everyone was like, they probably won't be able to do that. And they got a C&D and they had to change it. With this VE03 and like the other Fang that they're kind of doing as well, because of that like reuse of the Skyhawk cockpit, doesn't like make it look exactly like a Fang necessarily. So maybe there's a little like leeway there visually. But with this one, they started so far away from what an Ore Striker sort of looked like. And we had what effectively was a Chenowth in its like inspiration. And since then, since that first kind of reveal of what we might be getting, we've seen them change the tire size, and we've seen them add this sort of like missile launcher to the top of the car. And now it looks more like an Ore Striker than the Ore Striker does. Now they've kind of gone the other direction with it, I think. They've kind of, you know how they went like, yeah, like I said, they went very vintage and then had to change it through a C&D with the Skyhawk. With this, I feel like they've gone the other direction. They started very much like, yeah, we'll just look at the Chenoweth and we'll copy that. Jobs are good. And this has ended up looking more and more like the Ore Striker every single time we get it. So I wonder what kind of legal issue that's going to create. Who knows? But anyway, sorry, I missed some comments. Jello Ben said, what I was saying about the Arkham point is you single play Snake Eyes and you bring on the Cobra Rogues gallery of odd and exceptional characters, similar to how you played to Batman's foes-ish. Yeah, totally, Ben. I totally agree with that in regards to the game, 100%. That's what I meant by kind of character-based. I don't mean just like loads of Joes in it, because I kind of feel like if it's a Snake Eyes game, it's a Snake Eyes game. But yeah, I definitely see it like in that kind of Batman style. Snake Eyes is the main character that you're playing, and then you get character based in terms of like, I want to see night creepers, I want to see red ninjas, blue ninjas, friggin' Cobra Troopers being taken out, different like, Baroness, Major Blood, Destro, those kind of, I want to see those characters in some way, shape, or form. But I kind of, yeah, that's sort of what I'm getting at. But I don't know how they're going to approach that. I wonder if they're going to do that, or if they're going to do something a little bit more generic, is what I'm getting at before. We'll have to find out, won't we, I guess. Blitz says, speaking of, we still don't know what the Hasbro Ore Striker looks like in real life. Weird. It's so true, isn't it? It's so funny that. And again, I wonder if we'll see it at Yojo June. I'd have to think we're going to see the Hasbro Ore Striker during Yojo June. I have to think that, honestly. Anyway, these images show this kind of new missile system, sans figures, and again, you get a good look at the kind of like almost semi kind of finished thing, really. I think they said this is made from actual mold, from actual mold pieces, so kind of tooling and everything. So I don't know, I think it looks really cool. I do like the look of this, but I think it's because it's just starting to look more and more like a regular Ore Striker, and that's the thing, we're getting a classic proper Hasbro Ore Striker. We've got the multiple different hounds from Gridiron, and I know they did a lot of updates this week as well, which this weird thing happened, right? My Facebook page went all weird on my phone. It's fine on every other platform, but just my phone, it just had this absolute brain fart, and I think it just needed an update. I updated it, still messed up. Anyway, I was in the process. The reason it messed up in the first place was I was trying to share Gridiron's jungle Shadow Hound loadout images that they were showing with this new cool like loadout for like, with a net on it and some other cool stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's neat. And it made the hound look amazing. So I was like, yeah, I'll share that. And then it didn't work. And then for the next 2 days, I just could not, it just would not load anything at all on my Facebook app. Eventually, sorry, this is one of the worst stories ever. Eventually got it working today, and completely forgot to add anything Gridiron in. But yeah, go check out Gridiron's really cool Shadowhound stuff as well, because they, like I said, they were posting that this week as well. Anyway, loads of cool images of Fans Hobbies VE03. And again, that missile kind of system, it's got like a little kind of cap on the end of it. Can you see that from the side? I wonder if you take that little front bit off, it's got like that classic Ore Striker kind of look. Because we only see it with the cap on, don't we? Yeah, we do. We only see it with the cap on all these images. So I wonder if you take that off, you have that sort of like, you always see the kind of shape of it going in that direction where that cap starts. But in any case, yeah, there's probably a very vintage style looking laser cannon on top of that bad boy. But looks beautiful. Love all of the open engine kind of elements as well. I think it looks so good. And then of course you've got the seat in there too, which is really dope. Love it. Anyway, imagine sitting there while those missile launchers are going off. Good luck is all I'd say on that one. Anyway, I've gone too far, but you know what's happening next? That's Fans Hobby. Let's get into Hiya and let's do it. Yeah, I went too far, as always. So Hiya Toys have revealed their latest exquisite mini 4-inch figure, and it's Outback. Really excited for this one, actually. I think he looks great. I've been a little bit disappointed with Hiya in a few areas. Obviously, the sort of like that kind of like really complex way anyone can get it anywhere outside of Asia, which is, contractual, let's face it. There's a reason why we can't easily get them in other countries. I know we sort of can now, but even that's been really difficult. Like the rollout of this has not been the greatest. And we've had, like 28 releases now. I have a feeling I didn't put that image in. I spent ages doing an image for this, and I don't think it's in here. Hilarious. It's not. By the by, I just did that image of all the high releases so far and didn't put it in here. Why do I always do things like that? Hey. Anyway, the images of Outback look phenomenal. So even though I do have like my little kind of, pet peeves with, things like head sculpts and the deco application on the actual final figures, he does look great. But who knows if this is what we're going to get? There's definitely an interesting kind of patch on his upper left thigh that doesn't seem to have camouflage on it. But other than that, it's a really, really cool looking figure. It's Outback. Outback's one of my favorite characters. I think he's up there with Flint for one of my favorite Joes. I've got a handful. Obviously, Lightfoot is kind of like up there for, just multiple reasons. Original Steel Brigade, and then of course Outback, Flint. Yeah. So, and there's loads, but there's like a few that just sort of semi like kind of move around and kind of like, depending on what week it is, I'll be like, yeah, you're my favorite today. But Outback has always been up there. Not just the Tiger Force version is amazing, but I have such fond memories of this original Outback figure. Picked him up from Norwich, from Gerald, Toy Master, I think it was actually Toy Master in Norwich. It was either Gerald's or Toy Master because they were kind of really close to each other. One was in this kind of little Royal Arcade, it was called, and it was just this kind of like archway in between like all the buildings and the high street that just cut through and created this really cool little like, I don't know, like little shopping center. It was amazing. And Toy Master was in there, and yeah, it was so dope. But anyway, I remember grabbing this. I remember getting Outback and I think Road Pig, and I was just, loved them so much, those figures. Like, and I thought it was so cool on the file card. It was like the survival acrostic, so it would be like what each letter represented in a survival handbook sort of thing. And it was, I don't know, just something really awesome. Like the card art was beautiful, where he's looking across the mountains and like he's got his backpack in his hand and he's got the gun up and everything. Just everything about that figure is just phenomenal. The irony of him being outdoors and surviving in just a t-shirt, that kind of stuff, love it. Anyway, this version of him looks great. Like he looks phenomenal. But who knows what we'll get come the actual final figure. I also would be well up for them doing a Tiger Force version. We've already seen a Tiger Force Flint. I'd be really dope. I think that'd be phenomenal. Anyway, and yeah, I would genuinely love to see a Tiger Force Outback in from Hiya, and I might pick this one up. I was really one of the pet peeves I have with the Hiya Joes is the fact that I was so excited when Flint was going to be coming out, but the friggin' head sculpt on Flint is diabolical, and they did it twice. So I think I just felt like I wanted that figure, and then I saw the head sculpt, and I was like, I don't want it. So I kind of feel like I look at this one and I go, the head sculpt's really nice on this one. They've done a really good job on it. But is that what we're going to get? That is the question, isn't it? Anyway, looks great. and I can't wait to actually see this one like in the final form. A few people have asked me, is that kind of green or grey pants he's got kind of going on there? And I would say it's probably somewhere in between that. I've only ever seen these for sale on eBay. Who stocks them, says Diecast Nick. Small Joe's in the US, and I think someone already mentioned it. Was it like Cool Toys Club, I want to say? Cool Toys Club. Cool Toys Club and Small Joe's, I believe, stock higher. Or, I say stock. They have the pre-orders up, I think. Anyway, brilliant stuff. Here's some more shots on the white, on the plain background. It's not technically white, is it kind of more grey? And again, looks really cool. That pistol's real chunky. The flashlight and all of these secondaries. He's got a lot of gear, hasn't he? Which is good. You've got the shovel, you've got the flashlight and this little secondary. You've got the knife sheath on the ankle. It's a little bit, sometimes like, when they're having to do these like sort of like scaled down classified figures, some things are really difficult to get right, and it can look a little bit kind of bulky, and it can look a little bit kind of messy, and there is an element of that, I think, on some of the secondaries here. The web gear looks nice and chunky though on his torso and around his waist, and the backpack looks really nice too. So I think it's a phenomenal figure. It's phenomenal, and I'm really excited for this one for sure. And here he is with all his loadout: figure stand, backpack, shovel, flashlight, knife, pistol, spare hands or different hands. And I think they're just spare hands, aren't they? They're the same hands, I think. And they're both, I think, trigger kind of C grip sort of hands. Although one might be C grip and the other might be trigger fingers, but they do sort of look similar. And then, of course, the rifle. Yeah, there you go then. That's pretty much it. I did have a graphic of all the releases so far that took me ages to do, and then I didn't put it in there like an absolute moron. So I'm not going to do that now. In any case, we will move on. Oh, a couple of other things I should mention about this. Silly me. It'll be available Q2 of 2026, and it will be $24.99. I believe. I think that was the price. And it's only just struck me that that's the same price as it was the same price as a classified standard retail figure. In any case, that's all the information I think I have right now. Right then, let's move on to the next. We have, I think, the final. Yeah, this is the last news story of the week, and relates to classified. So let's get into it. Yay, retro rock and roll. So thanks to a shark-eyed toy view on YouTube, we got a in-hand video review and some images. So thank you to Adam for that. And yeah, I'm not jealous at all, mate. Not jealous at all, mate. Oh yeah, that's another good point actually. While we're in classified territory, Lone Dragon has just reminded me of something. Did anyone else get the email that Arctic Bats are getting a second? Well, delayed is probably the right way to put it there, Lone Dragon. But they're tentatively looking at doing another run of Arctic Bats because they've sold out, and before all the pre-orders were fulfilled, hilariously. But they're looking at around Q4 of 2026. So for all of those people that have been waiting for Arctic Bats for like the longest time, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer. But that does at least give me it would give me a little bit more hope that that's actually happening. And I should tell Pat, shouldn't I? Because I'm sure he's one of those people that's been waiting for an Arctic Bat since like the early Victorian era. Al Vega says, Chris, my man, on a plane flying back home from Aruba right now and listening to you. Amazing. I hope you had a good time. Chris G says, I had to get one off Macari. Are you talking about an Arctic Bat? 4DT says, I got the email. I'll believe it when I have it. Hasbro makes a lot of promises. Very good point there. That was actually was it from BBTS or someone else? It was like a retailer explaining the situation. I think that I saw the email I saw, but yeah, crazy, isn't it? Anyway, back to retro rock and roll. Now like I said, the video review, a shark-eyed toy view on YouTube. Go check Adam out; he's awesome, and he got this in hand. and a lot of people have been talking about the eyes being very dark, very eyeshadowy, kind of very dark eyebrows too. I don't know. I think it looks. I think it looks great. I think this looks a good figure. It's retro rock and roll. I have seen this one in hand as well, in actual real life, and it could be a little bit of lighting going on here, from Adam's picture, but from the figure I saw, looked at, held, like very close, looked absolutely perfect. So we'll have to see, won't we, how they turn out. Also, this is an early one. I'm not saying, Adam will have to let us know if he thinks this is like a, like actual final production figure. It probably is. But I just want to be 100% sure on that one. And he'll probably let us know in the comments at some point when he's awake, or whatever time it is now in Australia. I don't know. It's probably like 6 weeks from now in Australia. But there you go. Here he is with his machine gun and all of his ammo. And I think a lot of people have been excited for this one. I've wanted to kind of complete that OG-13. I'm definitely one of those people that wants to complete mini collections for sure. And this kind of like OG-13 crew that we've kind of got, we're getting there, aren't we? I always do this thing where I talk about certain figures and then I look at them behind me, and you guys have no idea what I'm actually doing or looking at. But yeah, I need to have my OG-13 crew together. I've kind of got Duke, Scarlet, Stalker. I know he's not OG-13 though, but you know what I mean. Scarlet, Stalker. Who else have I got over there? Breaker. But yeah, there's a few more to do, but we're pretty much nearly there. Like I said, I've said this before, but I think by the end of 2026, we'll probably have completed the OG crew, in what I expect anyway. But yeah, Clutch has tattoos. Why can't Rock and Roll? I think they were just doing something a bit more vintage. I think, Prophet, what's happened here is they're responding to fan feedback. So one of the things was, if they were going to get, I think a lot of people said this with the original Rock and Roll that came out for Classified. I think he's awesome and I love the tattoos, but I think a lot of people said, if they're going to do a retro one, if you ever do a retro one, we want him sans tattoos like the original figure. So this is how I look at it, right? This is Rock and Roll when he's first day on the job at G.I. Joe, right? And then as he goes along, he's just adding more and more tattoos. And that's when you get the kind of more grizzled, tattooed up, like super friggin' soldier in that next version. That's what I think's happened here. That's my narrative that I'm going with for those two Rock and Rolls. Pat will be happy, RKW. Yeah, he hates tattoos, Pat does, which is funny because he's got loads. I'm just kidding. I don't think he does. This is, honestly, this pose here was the one that had me the most excited. And you might go, Chris, what's wrong with you? And I'll say, well, because he's in a friggin' cool pose. And it's not like, the head's got a decent amount back, so he's kind of looking in the right direction that you'd expect. Got the sandbags in there as well, which is really cool. But like in that kind of prone position, the feet out and everything, I don't know. I just think that's really, I'm glad that we can do this with this figure. We can probably do it with a lot of the figures, but there has been a thing where some of the heads just haven't been going back very far, especially in some of the flight kind of figures, like, Raptor, who's in that image, by the way. Starduster, just to name a few. So yeah, I love this. Very happy, and he looks dope in that pose. Really nice. Really like it. Here he is with Clutch, and Clutch's tattoos, of course, to show you the kind of like, the two OGs together. I do actually have Clutch over there as well. Again, you can't see it, but he's here. Clutch is about there, behind this veil, in his vamp. Yeah, he just has Juicy on his lower back loan. Pat just has it just says Juicy right down there. That's so funny. Could you imagine if he did? But yeah, I think I'm really digging this Rock and Roll. I think they've done a great job, and yeah, I can't wait to have this one in hand. And here he is with the original Rock and Roll, the first version. It's the same head sculpt, I think, right? And they've just changed the eyes and the eyebrows and put a little bit of a heavier, I think there might be a heavier wash on the hair. On actually, probably about the same. It's probably just the lighting on that one. Someone said rock and roll has a new face sculpt. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just. I genuinely think it's just. Yeah, I think it's just deco. I think it's a new face deco. I don't think that's a new sculpt. Personally, I could be wrong though. The beard does look a little bit bigger on the new one, on the retro one. What do you think? What do you think, guys? It's hard to say, isn't it? It might be new, but again, I don't think it is. Like this, everything on that. Again, it's really just about the eye paint deco and everything. But like every line and curvature is exactly the same. It's just slightly different based on the face deco. I think it's the same. I think it's just a paint job that's different. Anyway, that's that. Never really thought of it, honestly, until you mentioned it. But that brings us to the end. So we'll go into leaked listings. No changes here. Everything is as you were. Hoping for a little bit of updates next month, of course. Not far away from Yojo June. And as far as I'm aware, it's still happening. We still will be getting a G.I. Joe, a G.I. Joan, a Yojo June. So yeah, that I'm really excited to see what they've got planned. Bryce says, "Is Hoarder working? I've been trying to upload images and it grinds forever without posting anything." Okay, so yes and no. So at the moment we are upgrading everything, and it's going to take a little while, but it's going to be worth it. So if you're having issues at the moment, don't fear, have no fear. They will be rectified very soon, and we will be making a big deal of it later. And we're talking like in like a month or two. So give us a little bit of time on that one, and we should be able to kind of rectify some of those issues. But I will let certain members of the team know that there are issues going on there, dude, and hopefully get that fixed a little bit in the for the meantime before all the updates kick into effect. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of changing around. There's a lot of updates and new features, and it's looking amazing. I don't think I've mentioned it on here publicly yet, but yeah, we're doing a version 2.0, and it's going to be freaking awesome. So keep open for that one. But if you're having any issues, just let me know. You can contact us usually through I think through the app and through we do have social platforms for Hoarder as well. So if you want to just message us on like any of those, we'll try and sort that out for you guys. Or even just message me on Hoarder itself, because you can do that as well. And I'll try and fix that for you. Anyway, by the by, that's the listings kind of really covered, because again, like I said, this is probably we'll probably get updates for Yojo June. I imagine. Will we get the next wave of retail figures? I don't think so, personally. I think because we had that kind of like that odd sort of mix and matched wave like ahead of time brought forward like in April. I think because we had that Snake Eyes, Monkey Wrench, Battle Armor, Cobra Commander, Major Blood wave, which threw like the line plan out of the window, I would expect them to maybe push the next retail wave a little further into the year. I think we'll probably get more things like, looking at this listings, Quinn Deluxe, Trent Pet, the Next Legacy figure, those kind of things shown kind of on show. Maybe things like Night Force Beachhead and Night Force Quick Kick as pre-orders. Maybe whoever Chairface is. I still think that's Mutton Junkyard as a Marauders redeco, but we'll have to see, won't we? El Seed, which I do believe El Seed is MMS with Colonel Hawk. So that'll probably be up for pre-order, maybe over Yojo June, I'd imagine. SP Kyle is a Pulse exclusive. Fishboy Deluxe Troop Builder Pack. Not a frigging clue what that is. We just know it's a kind of $34.99 Pulse exclusive. So it's a deluxe figure, basically. And an unknown vehicle Pulse thing. So maybe all of these things will kind of pop up. I don't think it's going to be everything that we're looking at on this line plan, but it's certainly going to be. And then obviously, you've got, Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack, Slice and Dice, or Striker with Crankcase, yeah, you've got all those that we've kind of technically sort of seen through, you know, renders and what have you. So I definitely kind of expect that kind of stuff. Buyer says, def not pre-orders, but renders seem reasonable for retail wave of 4. And I agree on that wholeheartedly. I don't want to see any more pre-orders for a while, says RKW. I don't think you're going to get away from that. I mean, we have kind of been in a little bit of a lean patch while the world has been in absolute underpants. So, like, yeah, I kind of feel like, yeah, I'm not necessarily ready for it, but it's going to happen, isn't it? Let's face it. We're going to be getting pre-orders. Pre-orders will happen as long as there's life on Earth. Pre-orders actually came before the dinosaurs. I think pre-orders were in like I can't remember the period of time. It was that period of time when the Earth, it just rained for millions of years. Anyway, yeah. So if you were to ask me what I think we're going to see, I would imagine I imagine things like the 2-packs, Slice and Dice, Slaughter and Mercer, or Striker Crankcase. Obviously, Nightforce Beach had a Nightforce Quick Kicker Walmart, so that will be probably lined up with a Walmart sort of kind of campaign, or what they do collecticons, don't they? That will probably be a collecticon down the road. But yeah, and then very, very likely renders for the retail wave of 4 figures, maybe some other stuff. I still think there's going to be some cool stuff to check out this Yojo June. I don't want it. It's one of those things, and I don't want it to be like Christmas is cancelled this year sort of feeling. Do you know what I mean? Like I want it. I want my GI Joe Christmas, which is in June. I genuinely get so excited for this time of year. Like I get so giddy. Like I get up early and I'm looking at things constantly, and I'm going back and looking at renders, and I'm going back and looking at other stuff, and I'm getting really excited. I'm doing loads of episodes. I bloody love June for that sort of stuff. Anyway, then of course we have 2026, which hasn't changed. We do know Taurus and Red Dog are the JQ Johnny 2-pack, of course. That was effectively unlocked when we got the name only reveal for those. And other than that, no changes. Name only reveals officially Sarge Mercer 2-pack, Taurus Red Dog 2-pack, and of course we are looking at these renders still to this day. Or Striker Crankcase, MMS Colonel Hawk, the retro green shirt, and the retro bat. I forgot to mention them before when we were talking about what we could see. We could see those, Slice and Dice, and of course Cold Slither for SDCC. Right then, is that everything? I think that is absolutely everything. Shall we hear from our sponsor? Yeah, let's do that. That's a banger. Yes, the Battle Action Force Deluxe Treasury Editions. We are proudly brought to you by those. So massive thanks to Total Toy Books, to Rebellion, to Skeletron, to Hasbro for this very cool official sponsorship. Yeah, go check them out. And of course, as it said in the video, you can find those Battle Action Force Deluxe Treasury Editions in the US on Skeletron.com, and in the UK and Europe at totaltoybooks.com. Go get them. They're great. I have realized the other day that I had left one of the books under the bed because I'd been reading it like every night and then forgot that it was under there. Went on and was kind of like going, where the hell did I put that? And I was getting really annoyed, and it took me about 3 days to find it. And when I found it, I immediately started reading it again. Anyway, that's just me being an idiot. So get the Battle Action Force Treasury Editions. They'll make you go mad. Also, I want to shout out the good folks at Total Toy Books who posted this, and Bob Breek, courtesy of Bob Breek, and I will say, but this is an image showing different heads for both Boffin and Bombardier from the never released Special Weapons team. As you can see here, you've also got the kind of repainted Vamp in the background as well from that Special Weapons Force, Special Weapons team. And yeah, like if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can check out any of the crazy amounts of books that are coming. Well, anyway, if you haven't got this, you need it. My Palatoy Story from Bob Breakin. This is phenomenal. But the upcoming Kickstarter for Total Toy Books, Total Action Force Volume 3 is the link in the description for the landing page. This will be in said book with more information about it and Special Weapons Team and all of the cool stuff that we didn't get, you know, kind of unreleased concepts, all that kind of beautiful stuff. And if you want a little bit more information about that, you can go and watch my little interview with Brian, which is on our YouTube channel right now. Anyway, shout out to Brian and Paddy and Total Toy Books and Skeletron and everyone involved. Go do it. Right then, massive shout out to Phil and Pat of Articulated Points as well. Pat, who is usually my co-host, hasn't been now for it's been like 3 episodes, and I feel bad because the first 2 issues were mine, and now Pat can't do today, and that's, you know, it's just unfortunate. It's just lined up like that. We did plan to do the episode together, but it just yeah, and sorry, we planned to do the previous episodes together, but you know, things happened, and this particular episode, Pat, this, you know, this was already booked. This was already in the book for not happening. So there you go. But anyway, shout out to both Phil and Pat. Go check out Articulated Points. Latest video, I believe, is this talking point regarding the blue Rogue costume, the not often discussed blue Rogue. But anyway, it's brilliant. Phil's great, and he loves X-Men, and you can tell because it's really good. Also, massive shout out to Brian Sauer for our amazing, wonderful graphics. We've got a rebrand coming soon, and we're in the midst right now of getting all that kind of finalized. And I think it's going to be amazing. I know it's going to be amazing because Brian's doing it. So thank you, Brian, for all your hard work, and also for the work you do at Assembly Required. November 14th and 15th, we have more updates for this. Now, obviously, you can still secure your staging area. The hotel block for discounted rooms at the Hilton downtown Des Moines is available, so go check that out. And you can find that on codenameiowa.com or any of Codename Iowa's kind of socials and what have you. So go check them out. And of course, Fans in Command, Assault on Cobra Island. This is what's going on up to, I think, June the 2nd. So what they're doing is they are revealing a new location. So as they prepare for Assembly Required 2025, we're asking you, people, to help us select the strike team that will lead the assault on Cobra Island. Each week, a new target location will be revealed. Then on June 2nd, our Fans in Command poll will go live. You'll have until the end of Yojo June to vote for the 6 recruits you think are best equipped to accomplish this dangerous mission. Okay, so and they've basically been revealing these locations. The first one was the eastern beach of Cobra Island. I love the images they've been grabbing for these. These are great. And this one is moving silently under the cover of darkness. Your small squad of elite team members will infiltrate enemy territory via the eastern beach, hiding all traces of their landing before moving inland to gather intel, disrupt operations, and put a stop to the commander's sinister plans. Then location 2 was Mindbender's lab, the Terradrome. Essential clues to Cobra's plot are hidden within the secretive confines of Dr. Mindbender's lab. Located beneath the Terradrome, this secure facility houses a horror show of supernatural science where the bad doctor experiments with mind control, brainwashing, reanimation, cloning, cybernetics, mutagens, and more. There's more. Put a shirt on is one of the tags. That's hilarious. And now, location 3 is the power station at the volcano. Only a scheme of epic scope would require the substantial amount of geothermal energy the power station has been generating. Your squad must close the tap by any means. Shutting down Cobra's energy supply is sure to put a damper on their dastardly operation. So with all that information, there will be a fan poll as to what team you are going to select to deal with this very difficult situation. Also, kind of semi-related, kind of 100% related, is Operation Armor. No more updates since we had the one saying there will be more updates to follow, including gear kit pre-orders and dates for the show. They will come soon. So at the moment, it's a holding pattern for armor, but that is the online version of Assembly Required, which is the in-person convention. This is the online version. So there'll be a real cool opportunity to get gear kits, which are freaking phenomenal, packed full of crazy awesome stuff, even down to things like 6 and 4-inch scale weapons and accessories, like little dioramas that can be built. They're amazing, like beautiful prints, amazing, like just awesome art and stuff. It's great, and lots of cool little merch. They're amazing, the gear kits, and yeah, full of very cool, awesome stuff. Also, massive shout out to the GI Joe Real American Hero Field Guide, which is doing phenomenally well. Has it finished yet? I think it's still going. But I believe Carson's doing very well with this one at the moment. So congratulations for, blowing through all of the friggin', the initial funding goal as well. Like, just amazing. And the field guides are so cool. We talked about them a little bit already. Link in the description if you want to check it out. I'm not sure where we're at with it. Let me just quickly check. Field Guide 3D Joes. There it is. I just wanted to do this very quickly just to make sure we're still going. Yes, 50 hours to go. My goodness. It's already at $209,349. Incredible work, Carson. And shout out to 3D Joes and all the great work that, just even as these little field guides as well. Amazing stuff. So 50 hours left. Not very long at all, actually. I did think it was close, but yeah, that's phenomenal stuff. In terms of stretch goals, he must have reached quite a few, right? Let's have a look. Stretch goal 1 has been unlocked, 2 has been unlocked, 3 has been unlocked, 4 has been unlocked, 5 has been unlocked. Stretch goals 6 to 9 were announced, and they've all been unlocked. 10 to 11, I'm not even telling you what they are because it's just going to take ages. You can go and check it out yourself. 10 to 11, so stretch goal 10 unlocks at $200,000, and that's tear out sheets. Holy crap. And stretch goal 11 is sticky notes, 225. Unreal work, Carson. Phenomenal stuff. Yeah, well done, and let's get more going. Let's get that into like the 4 million mark. Let's try and beat Skybound with that one. Anyway, big shout out to Carson, 3D Joes, and the field guides. Also, massive shout out to Skeletron. You can get the Robo Skull Mark II right this second out there, as well as the Total Toy Books. The Battle Action Force Treasury editions as well. And also shout out to Kickley. Kickley's got another corner. He posted this minutes before we went live last week, so thank you, Kickley, for that one. But this is Wetsuit in the Devilfish and looks amazing. And the reason he did this one is because the previous one that we showed last week with the Torpedo fighting an eel, I believe, was supposed to be Wetsuit fighting an eel. So he was doing this one just to make up for that. But phenomenal nonetheless, and he looks great in the Devilfish, so perfect. And then, of course, this Dusty Sandstorm and some Desert Scorpions. Very cool shot there of Dusty hiding behind a wall and Sandstorm ready to kick off big time. Even the paws up, ready to go. And as well as that, the 1964 GI Joe portrait as well, which is absolutely phenomenal. I love what Kickley does. I love his work. And I do believe Hasbro are taking a little bit of a notice now. The GI Joe, socials have been commenting on Kickley artwork. So who knows? Maybe Kickley can get some official Joe stuff out there soon. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Anyway, here's another one. This is a bit dark, isn't it? But Scrap Iron and Firefly up to no good with a ton of like dead green shirts, it looks like, around them. Like a building blowing up with what looks to be, again, lots more green shirts coming out of it. But yeah, kind of crazy, amazing, and great work. And also I want to shout out Paul Pamphilone, Plastic Battles, for his new series Jotographer, which is available on YouTube right now. He's done parts 1, 2. This is part 2 here, and part 3 on the Belgium and Netherlands kind of Benelux dossier 1. And I'm on part 3. I had a lot of fun talking with Paul on this one and getting into the kind of the details of some of these beautiful kind of dio shots and everything. So you can check that out in the links down below. And I shared it on our Facebook page earlier and socials and what have you. So yes, go check that out. It had a lot of fun with Paul talking about these beautiful diorama pieces, and actually translated some of it as well. And it was quite funny what we ended up what it actually turned out to be. But yeah, very awesome stuff. Go check them out. And that's it. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of the Full Force Weekly. Apologies for it not being on Saturday morning, and apologies for not having Pat with me, but here we are. I will return, of course, for news burst shenanigans, I would imagine, this week. And what else was I going to say? I've got Patreon video going up on Sunday as per usual, live stream. So I'll see our Red Shadow Army and SAS level patrons then. And, you know, any other bits and pieces. Oh, yes, the other thing I wanted to mention, it's been agonizing this, but I've been at 5,990. It was 5,992 subs like last week, right? And then we've just been gaining 1, then we gained 3, then we lost 2, then we gained another 3, then we lost another 4, and it's just been doing that like every day. And we're currently at 5,999, and it still hasn't ticked over subs wise on YouTube to 6K. And I've got like videos lined up to post, by the way. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, and you want to see my most wanted classified, there's a fly in it, my most wanted classified Joes top 6 to celebrate our 6K, then sub, and it might actually happen. So there's the bribe, RKW. I'm bribing you with content. You want to see my top 6 most wanted Joes, and there will be a most wanted Cobra the next day as well, or enemy, I should say. And then I'm also working on a top 6 most wanted vehicles in the classified series. So you're going to get this when we hit 6K, but not a second before. And if it hits 6K, I'm posting it. I don't care if it goes back down to 5.9 or whatever. I'm posting it still, and I'm just going to say, we'll work that out after the fact. But if it hits 6K, guys, you're getting a video. So if you haven't subbed to our YouTube channel and you want more content, go ahead and do it, and you're going to see some videos pretty soon. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your weekend, guys. Like I said, I'll see you when the news happens, probably either in news burst extra form or in full force live stream goodness. Stay fresh cheese bags. That's actually technically what I say. Stay fresh cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3, full force. Latest. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. And as always, you can keep up with the show after listening by following on all of our social platforms, links in the description. And if you would like to contact the show, you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback or questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.